computer. Okay, hey everybody, this is Leaderbound, and it is Sunday, July 15th. And this week, our focus is going to be about generating interest about the business at our shows. Okay, so we're going to talk live, virtual, and it's going to be about generating interest in the business, because last week we talked about bookings, generating interest about that, and securing dates at the party. And this time it's going to be about generating interest in business. Now, I don't have a PowerPoint for this because this I want to have it sort of as an open discussion, sort of a brainstorming thing about things that we're doing or could be doing. All right? So I'm assuming that you guys are all, you know, when you think about, okay, what am I doing? What am I saying at my parties to generate interest about the business? Often we think about what we say about the business during our demo, but sometimes the most impactful things are our actions. You know, that whole saying, our actions speak louder than our words. So I don't want you to just think about what you're doing, you know, to plant seeds about the business, but what actions you're taking or not taking that could either attract people to the business or detract from the time you walk into the door until the time you leave. So let me ask you guys, how many bags do you carry? How many trips does it take you to get into the house?
1 trip, 2 bags.
1 trip, 2 bags. Me too. Okay. Lynn, Tina, how about you guys?
I usually bring my purse, like my paperwork bag up to the door to make sure I have the right house and say a hello. And then I tell the host to finish up what they're doing, and I go up and I grab my bag.
Okay, so 1 trip in.
Yeah.
You could make it all in 1 trip. Okay, because that's really important. Hey, Lynn, I'm going to see if I can read you just because the dog's barking. There we go. Now we can see you, but now we hear you too. So I muted you temporarily. Feel free to unmute if everything's quiet on your end. So yeah, you want to make sure you can make it into that house in 1 trip. Okay, and if you've had anything stressful happen in your life, leave it in the car or in the bushes. Because when you get in there, you want to just be having fun at your show. Do you guys walk in like you're the CEO of your business? And you don't have to be a big fancy CEO, but
yeah.
Do you act like a successful business person? Like you're really enjoying what you do, stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Good. And connecting with the host, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes what people tend to do when they're newer is they get through the door and they're like, okay, I have to set up. And they ignore the host and anybody who's early, and they're all about setting everything up and rearranging it 5 different times, and is everything just right? And they're ignoring the people. So you want to make sure that, you know, from the time you step in that door, we're on, right? It's not just when we go, okay, let's start cooking. We are on from the time we walk in the door. So we want to make sure that we connect with the host, that we're friendly, and that we connect with the guests as they're coming in. There are a lot of ways to make money in the world, right? But not all of them are as fun as our business can be. So we want to make sure people really get that. So what do you guys talk about with your host when you first arrive?
I'll ask them who's coming.
Yeah.
I usually ask them for day.
I usually say, how was your day?
Yes, it is good to ask them that, because sometimes they had a really bad day at work and you don't have to recruit them on the spot, but you can remember what they said. Plus, you know, you want to care about your host. Before you launch into Pampered Chef stuff, you want to make sure, how was their day? Hey, did you have a fun day? You know, what was up with you? And then, yes, I usually ask them, so who's coming tonight? Anybody I know? So I make it kind of light and fresh, but, you know, and sort of off the cuff, not real super formal. And I ask, you know, are there anybody who's never been to a show before? And I'll ask, you know, what kind of cooking do people do? Are they cooking for 1 or 2? Everybody's cooking for family. And I just kind of try to figure that out ahead of time. Do you start your parties on time?
Within a few minutes.
Yeah. And what I say on time, I mean, we usually within 15 minutes of the stated start time. Yeah. I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's important just so we get out on time and people don't look like, oh, I can't do this because, I got to get up with kids in the morning, or I got to get up for work in the morning. My last few parties, when I've left, it's still been kind of light out. It's been really nice. So yeah, make sure you start the parties on time. Because like I said, that's one of those things. If we bring 5 bags and it takes us 3 trips and we're like huffing and puffing and we don't start on time, so we don't leave till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, it's not going to look like something that people want to do, regardless of how much fun we have during the demo and how much money that we might make. Anything else that you guys do during the setup that you think really lends itself to generating interest in the business? One of the things I do is as guests come in, I get them involved. My goal is by the time the 3rd guest has arrived, the 4th one doesn't know who the consultant is. I don't wear my apron. And even when I did, I never put it on before the party. So I just start giving people jobs to do. Oh gosh, you're early, 20 points for you. Hey, you want 20 more? And give them a job. They can make name tags, they can hand out catalogs, they can prep food, whatever you want them to do. Just, and I make a joke that, I delegate everything, and so when the 3rd or 4th person comes in, they're looking around like they don't even know who the consultant is. They think it's the person making the name tags, but half the time they know them. So they know it's not that person, and they're trying to figure it out because, they're looking at the people who are doing the work, and clearly those aren't the consultants. So not only does that make for an interactive party because it sort of sets the tone. This is an interactive party. You will be doing something, right? You might be opening up wine or whatever, but you're gonna be doing something. But it also, I think, makes our job look really easy. They come in.
Another thing I like to do is make sure that where you are having people help and do things is to have your catalog kind of already to go. Because I went to a party once where the consultant was like, oh, here is a catalog, and oh wait, let me find my pens, and oh, let me get you the drawing slip, and it was kind of all over the place. So I always try to have that all together and ready to go before I walk in the door. So, and then I just set them on the edge of the table. And it's like, all right, let's everybody grab a catalog, and instead of passing everything out and kind of again making it interactive.
Yes. Yeah, because sometimes the things that can really derail us are just little things like that all of a sudden it's like, wait, where was I? And it can really ruin the rhythm. So yeah, having that ready to go so it's just flowing. And also to set up the checkout station before you start too. Because if people are ready to place their orders, you don't want to sit there and go, oh, wait, what's your internet password? I don't know. So you want to make sure you're ready for that. Okay, so assuming, and I think everybody here is, pretty friendly with their hosts, connecting with their guests. Now think of when you say, okay, everybody, let's get started. Do you have sort of an opening for your show? That maybe plant some seeds, or maybe your opening is shorter, but you have something else planned in your demo where you're going to be planting some seeds about the business. Historically, we always talked about telling your story, introducing yourself with your story at the beginning, under 2 minutes, preferably 90 seconds or less. But I find I'm not even doing that very much in the beginning. I'm just sort of like, I give my disclaimer about not being a great cook, so if they came to be wowed and amazed by culinary expertise, they might want to change their goal for the evening. However, one thing that I have kept is when I introduce myself, hi, my name is Karen Batty. I'm a consultant and a recruiter with the Pampered Chef. Are you guys introducing yourself as a consultant and a recruiter?
Yes.
Yeah, good. If you aren't, I want you to put that on your to-do list. Because really, when you go to any kind of home party, don't people just, usually the home party people, they just introduce themselves as a consultant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of a sudden they're at a party and they're like, oh, this person's a consultant and a recruiter. I found that just by adding that to my party, people took me more seriously because they're thinking, oh, some people just kind of do this as a side gig, but she's a consultant and recruiter. She must be one of those people who's really good.
You sound way important that way.
Yeah, right? Oh, because they know some people just do this as sort of, fun little side thing, and there's a few who do it as a serious business. Now they're like, okay, she's one of those people who does it seriously. And I think that it makes them take what I have to say more seriously when it comes to planting seeds about the business, and certainly during the Q&A round. And I think that people tend to look differently, especially when they say, she can't cook, she keeps losing her outline, and she's a consultant and a recruiter? Clearly, this isn't that difficult. So if you're not doing that, make sure that's on your to-do list. Also, it's an affirmation for us, because we're getting up there and we're saying it out loud at every single show. I'm a consultant and I'm a recruiter. So yeah.
It's going to make me a believer in myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it makes them believe in us too. Plus, I feel like if there's anybody there who has, a coworker, a daughter, a neighbor that might be good at Pampered Chef, but they know a few people who do it, who are they going to refer that person to? The one that they think is taking their business seriously as a trainer. That Lynn who introduced herself as a consultant and a recruiter. Let's do that rather than this other person who works a full-time job and just kind of does shows every now and again. You want people referring people to you. So you want them to know that you're one of those people who takes this business seriously as a business. Okay. The other thing that I think has really helped me, because I'm horrible at names, is using name tags. Again, it's one of those things that really isn't recruiting related, but I think it really helps with bookings and recruiting because it helps us connect. And even if you might be good at names, it's going to help your guests connect with each other, because some of the coworkers might not know some of the neighbors, and it helps the group connect. And also, if you have someone in your audience or whatever, a guest on the show who's not very good at names, and they see that everybody's wearing a name tag, so you can call them by name, again, it makes our job look a little bit easier. Okay, so you can tell your story at the beginning. I tend to now tell my story right before the Q&A round. And it's a brief story. This is not our life story. It's just something that's true to you. Do you guys have your story sort of scripted out? Can you run it out? Anytime someone says, hey, tell your story, can you just come out with it like second?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good.
I thought you meant when you said scripted out, meaning you had to say exactly what it said on the paper. No.
No. Mine comes out differently every time, but I know what the message. Yeah, you know what the messaging is. It's not too long. You're not just rambling on and on. It's concise. It's to the point, and it has a purpose. Some people tell their story, but just telling, why they got into this and, some hesitations that they had. Some people sort of tell their story about, why they got in, but then plant seeds like, I do this as a business like da-da-da-da, but then I have other people on my team who do this and that. So you can plant lots of seeds. So if your story alone doesn't cover it, hey, we got a big team. Just pull in anybody else that you know of on our team, and you say, but there are people on my team who. Okay, so that you can make that story have broad appeal, so that you're not just going to be attracting people who have a life like yours. Okay, you're going to be attracting a much broader group. And think about when you're planting your seeds and telling your story, think about the things that attract people to the business. It's not just income. Sometimes it's free product. Anybody have someone on their team who signed up primarily because they're like, oh my gosh, that kit's a great deal and I can earn all those Pampered Chef dollars? Oh, yeah. That's why Michelle Weinstein got started. It wasn't income at all. Okay, so keep that in mind. Free product, income, flexibility, travel. But do you know the thing that most people have two reasons, and the first reason is almost always what?
Owning your own business?
Fun.
Oh, fun.
This was so much fun. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this was so much fun or enjoyable. And wow, I can make money at this. Or this was really so enjoyable and I can get free product. This is so enjoyable and I can really work this around my schedule. So make sure your shows are fun and enjoyable. They don't have to be hilarious. They don't have to be like going out to a comedy connection. Just has to be something that was enjoyable. Okay? Don't underestimate the power of just people having fun together. You'll be much more likely to book and much more likely to give the business consideration. Okay, so before the Q&A round, when people are cooking, what are some seeds that you guys plant about the business?
I do mine during, so kind of segueing in, I'll let people know about like the game that we're playing and the points that they can earn.
Mm-hmm.
And as people are cooking, like if somebody will bring something up, like the product they're using, I'll be like, oh, I'm not sure. Like if they'll say, how much is this thing I'm using? Even if I do know the price, sometimes they'll be like, oh, I don't know the price. Whoever can find it, gets 10 points. Because I try to make them see that even if they don't know the answer to something, there's a way to find it and a way to make it fun so that it doesn't look like you have to do everything perfectly and have the whole catalog memorized.
Yeah.
So I like to do that as we're cooking.
That's awesome. Don't be a walking encyclopedia. Okay, don't be a pampered encyclopedia. And yes, if you don't know the answer to something, don't try to hide it. Put a spotlight on it. And I love that even if you do know the answer, you're pretending you don't. Because it really brings to light that, you just give people points for finding the page numbers, finding the prices, all of that. And it really makes the business look very, very doable. I love that.
You can even, if they're using a product, like a manual food processor and you're making salsa, and you say, oh, I make salsa all the time. And if someone says, what else do you make? I try not to answer. And I turn it back around like, well, what do you guys think you could make it?
Right.
So that they can see how easy it is for them to answer.
Yep. And you say, what do you guys make? And just give them points for stuff. And that's another thing. Like, I use the points not because so much I need to now, but because it makes the business easier for someone else who's thinking about it. They look and go, I can just delegate points and give away a season's best recipe booklet, So that's the other thing, even if you feel like you don't need it, it's good to keep doing some of that because it makes it look so doable. The other thing that I do is, when I'm talking about a certain product, because, usually there's a couple power tool talks that I'll do, a couple of products I'll talk about before we get into the cooking. And I'll tell them how I got it. I don't go into great detail. It's just like a quick little sentence. Oh my gosh, this came in my kit and I was so excited. I felt like it was Christmas when it arrived. Or, oh my gosh, when I earned this thing for free and it showed up on my doorstep, I was like, yeah, it's just a little phrase that if someone's not thinking about the business, they're not thinking, oh, here she goes trying to recruit us again. It's just a little seed planted, but if someone's thinking about the business, believe me, they hear it and they go, you got that for free? And so if you got something in your kit or you earned it for free and you love it, just drop that little seed in there.
But even though I didn't get the base kit, I tell everyone I got the base kit, so I got 20 items. So about 20 of the items on this table, you know what I mean? I'll say some of the items on this table came, but when I had my launch show, I was able to really add the things, and that's how I got this rock crock. And that's so that it only took me that one party, should I say, to get a lot of the items that they're looking at.
Yeah, that's awesome. Perfect. Yeah. So this, everything you see here, it either came in my kit or I got at my launch party, or I got this at my launch party. And now they're probably wondering, what the heck is a launch party? And that's pretty cool. She got to launch your business and get this rock crock for free. Yeah. So perfect. So I want you guys to be thinking about, part of your assignment is going to be to pick a couple of extra seeds. And make sure when you're planting seeds, it's about that you're thinking about the different things that appeal to people. You're making your party fun. That's just, it's a seed that maybe people don't even see as a seed, but it is. Think about recruiting seeds that are income related as well as product related, flexibility related. I make up little stories about my shows or about my products, and I'll say, oh my gosh, this product I love because, you know, my kids are in all kinds of activities. How many of you have kids, right? And, you know, so I'll talk about, you know, so I know when the schedule came out, I'd be like, okay, we have to be at this soccer field here. We got to be at that baseball field here. So I'm guessing I'm doing my party there. So, you know, when am I going to make these meals, right? So it just plants a seed that, oh, she gets to decide when she's doing her parties around these other schedules. Again, make sure they're true to you, but you know, people think it's off the cuff, but it's really well thought out. So you want to think of those seeds that you want to plant and think about where exactly you can plant them, and make sure you're touching upon all the things that can appeal to people about the business. So here are some things that I've written down from other things that people have shared. So when it comes to seeds about free products, some of the things you can say, this came in my kit, or when I got this as a bonus at my kickoff party, or when I got this at my bonus when I did my second party, you know, because like, you know, usually after 2 parties, people have earned their Pampered Chef dollars. Oh my gosh, I got this as a bonus for free because I did 2 parties in my first month of business, something like that. Income seeds. When I made this recipe at home, my husband loved it. When I told him it was tax deductible because I needed to practice for a show, he adored it. Another seed is, sometimes I have so much fun, I feel guilty about how much they pay me for this. So when everybody's laughing and they're just having fun at a show, you just come out with, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get paid for this. Sometimes I feel guilty about how much I get paid to have fun. I find that I make more 5 to 9 than I used to make working 9 to 5. Or I find I can make as much working 5 to 9 as I could make working 9 to 5.
I already say
that. Does that make sense? So plant those seeds, okay? And again, these are quick little things. You're not beating people over the head with them. They're seeds. They're seeds planted. About flexibility, you know, when you're talking about your bookings, you can say, this month, I'm doing my shows on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you know, I'm offering this kind of theme and that kind of theme. So it gives people the you know, they know this is when you're doing your parties, and that's just this month. It could change next month depending on your life. When you're if you guys are doing virtual parties, do you do a live opening, or at least record something and post it so they get to hear your voice and see this person? If not, definitely do that. And Sheena, didn't you say you just started doing more of that?
Yeah, I've been doing live things on my personal page, and then I just started doing it on my virtual party, and the interaction that I'm gaining from it is insane. Yeah. I can't even believe. And I have a virtual party going right now where I'm setting up Wednesday night to go live for a little bit. Just to, hey, I'm going to go live for, you know, half an hour, 45 minutes, hop on, ask me questions, I'll grab my product, I'll show you, just to kind of get some live interaction back and forth going. But I'm so excited with what I'm seeing from it.
And you can ask them, what products do you want to see? Comment below.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure to pull that out. Yeah, absolutely. And so you can connect with people. If you're doing a live opening, you can plant some of those same seeds that you would at a show. So definitely do that. If you're going Facebook Live, don't just talk about a product, plant a little booking seed or recruiting seed at the end. Make sure, of course, on your virtual parties, you're posting about the sign-on bonus. You post about the upcoming host special. Are you posting the sign-on bonus? I do a Q&A round at my live shows, and at my virtual parties, I'm doing a post about Be Nosy, Ask Me Anything, and I'm giving them points for it. And if I'm at my live show and nobody asks a question right away, I walk up to them and hit them on the shoulder and, you know, tap them on the shoulder, go, hey, Cindy, come on, you need some points. Ask me how much it costs to get started. Well, guess what? I do the same thing at my virtual parties. I will tag somebody. If nobody starts asking questions, I'll start tagging people. Hey, Cindy, you could scoop up some extra points because Lynn is beating you. Why don't you ask me how much it costs to get started? And then you ask me that, and I answer it. I go, great question. I answer it, and then I go, hey, Lynn, Cindy just pulled in front of you. Why don't you ask me how much the average consultant makes? And then I make sure everybody who has said yes or maybe to that show gets tagged in that thread so that they see it and they start reading. And even if they didn't ask any questions, they're seeing what's being posted there. Okay. All right. So speaking of the Q&A round, that's kind of what I wanted to talk with you next about. Are you all doing a Q&A round at every single party?
Yeah.
Did Lynn say no? Did Lynn shake her head no?
I said no, I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. I thank you for
No, I didn't realize I was not mute, so.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, I'm melting over here. I decided a long time ago, if I'm at a show and we're going to cook, I'm going to do a Q&A round. Because you want to think about not just about the people in front of you. Even if you say, oh, they've been to shows before. It's not just about the 10 people or so that are in front of you. Every single person in that room probably knows 20 people really well. Well enough to refer you to them. So you have 10 people in front of you. That's 200 potential leads. Okay? Now, if you don't bring a rock to a show and you never mention it, do you think you're going to sell any? Probably not. If you don't talk about the business and don't really mention it, do you think people are going to just intuitively ask you about it?
No.
No way. No way.
Karen,
Yes.
sorry. I can't see when people are talking, so I'm trying not to just jump in, but I wanted to mention something I do before I get to Q&A. The planted seed. So when I'm kind of telling everybody, you know, the guest special and spend 75, get this. Another thing, I have them flip to the inside of the catalog to the kit.
Yep.
And I say, all right, so I told you about the guest special, but let me tell you about like the best special that we have. And it's right here. And then I explain to them you know, you can, for $109, you can get $450 worth of products and materials. I'm like, so that's really the best deal we have. I'm like, and you know, all you need to do for that is we have a kickoff show and you have 2 friends or family have a show and you've just filled your kitchen.
Yep.
And I just am over it. And I made a point to do it tonight at the show I was just at, and I had 2 people talk when they were checking out, talk to me about the kit as just an item to buy.
Yes.
So I was really excited at work because then those people who were the most, you know, interested when I talked about how much they get in the kit, they were the ones during the Q&A who were really asking a lot of those questions.
That's great. I love that. I love that you tell them, you know, what the commitment is. Because some people think, oh, starting a business sounds like planning a wedding or having babies or, you know, buying a house. I mean, it sounds like a big commitment. But you're saying it's a kickoff party and then you find a couple of friends, have parties and
Yeah.
you kitchen. So it's no big deal. I love that you kind of put it out there like it's no big deal. Because I know when I first was considering the business, it felt like a big deal. Looking at it now, it's not a big deal. I could have quit after a couple of parties if it didn't go well. No harm, no
Well,
fun.
and that's what I say to them. I say, you know, I started because I was like, oh, I liked the stuff in the kit and it was a better deal. I'm like, so, you know, I was like, yeah, I'll do 3 shows. And I'm like, 5 years later, it's what I'm still doing. I'm like, so if you love it, then you stick with it like me. I'm like, and if you don't, you just build your kitchen cabinet for cheap.
Yep.
So.
And that gives people permission to just put their toe in the water and give it
Yeah.
a try, right? Yeah, love that. So So when it comes to the Q&A round, I like to sort of introduce it. Again, I say, now, remember at the beginning, I told you I'm not just a consultant, but I'm a recruiter with the Pampered Chef. And you guys, if you haven't been good at finding page numbers or whatever, you can scoop up lots of points now. But I tell them, you know, you guys are going to have the opportunity to ask me anything you've ever wondered about the business. Now, and I say to them, how many of you, show of hands, how many of you came here because you're looking for a job tonight? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody ever raises their hand. But I call out the elephant in the room and I go, I know it. Nobody comes to a Pampered Chef show looking for a job usually. However, 50% of Americans say they're looking for additional income. If you're all set, think of someone you know. Okay, so before they even start asking questions, I tell them they can ask questions, but then I feel like this little preamble that lasts about 2 minutes gives them time to absorb the fact that they're going to be asking questions, gives them time to think up questions, but it also plants some seeds about if you're all set, half of everybody you know is looking for additional income. Think of someone you know. So now all of a sudden, hopefully some of them are thinking about people they know. And I talk about some common things like the cost of daycare, and student loan debt, and how much it costs to buy a house. So if you're all set, think of people you know, things like that. And you can give them, you can say to them, if you're not sure what to ask me, you could ask me and give them 2 questions. 2 questions that you think, man, if someone would ask me that question, they would be so blown away by the answer. They would be dying to ask me more questions. Okay, because usually the questions that you plant and say, you know what, if you're not sure what to ask me, you could ask me blah, 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 or blah, 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 blah. Usually those are the first 2 questions asked. Okay, so sometimes I'll say something like, now if you don't know what to ask me, you could ask me what's the most I ever made in a night, or what's the most I ever made in a month. So I'll say, ready, set, go. What do you think they first ask me?
How much you make?
Yeah, so what's the most you ever made in a month? Oh, fantastic question. About $900. Okay, next question. Now there's usually some people with eyes wide open, like $900 in a night. They're like, what? How many people are at that party? I'll say, well, it's a fundraiser. Next question, but like concise. I don't even go into detail because I want the shock factor. You could ask me how many shows it took me to pay for my kit. So someone says, okay, how many shows did it take you to pay for your kit? Fantastic question. 1. Next question. They're like, what? 1 show? So pick something that you think if they knew the answer, they'd be so blown away, they would want to ask me more. It can be like, what do you think? Well, how much do you think I make in an average night? Oh, how much do you make in an average night? Oh, great question. About $225. Next question. Then usually what happens is people say, how many parties do you do? So now they're doing the math. Oh, you make this much at a party, you do this many parties in a month. Oh. Okay, because before if they go, how many parties do you do? And you tell them how many. Wah, wah. All right, I get the points, but it doesn't blow them away. But if all of a sudden they know how much you make in a night, all of a sudden they can do the math. Also be thinking about, there are some things that I go into a little more detail about during the Q&A round, but some of the things are just concise. If someone asks you, Sherry, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
We're at a party. So Sherry, how many parties do you do?
About 4 a month.
Okay, great. I love that you were just concise, that you just answered the question. You didn't sit there and say, well, I like to do about 4 a month, but sometimes I do more. Yeah, just ask and answer. So now they're like, 4 a month? That's like one a week. I could do that. You just asked and answered. Now, if I asked you that at a show, would you end it there or would you maybe expand that at all?
Well, I'm going to change it up because I'm going to do what you're saying right now, because I do expand a little because I usually get questions right after on that same question, and they don't go to another topic, another question. So I'm thinking I'm focused on answering that one and getting it covered and make sure they know what I'm talking about. I never think ahead. So I'm going to change that up.
Well, and like I said, it depends on the question. So if somebody says, how many parties do you like to do? I'm concise about how I answer. I like to do about 10 a month. However, when you're a Pampered Chef consultant, you're your own CEO. You decide how many you want to do. So I answer personally, but then I expand it. When it comes to those first two shocker questions, it's just asked and answered. Boom. I made $900 in an evening. Or I make an average of X amount at a show. But then after that, because I want them to be like, what? Really? Did she say how much? But after that, when I answer it personally, but then I try to expand the umbrella so that more people can see them doing what I do. I do about 10 parties a month. However, as a consultant, you get to decide. You're your own boss. You can do 2 a month. You can do 5 a week. And when I am done, I say, next question. And the Q&A round doesn't end until I am satisfied that they've asked me the questions I want them to ask. I'm not sitting there going, oh, darn, they didn't ask me the one about, I'll just walk up to someone and I'll go, Sue, you're way behind in points. Quick, ask me what my favorite perk of the business is. Okay, so make sure you know the questions you want them to ask you and make it fun. Just walk up to someone and go, just tell them out loud what to ask you. Or some people take the questions they want people to ask them and put it in the batter bowl and pass it around. Don't know what to ask me? Pick a question out of here. Okay, so you could do that. But you want to make sure you're in the driver's seat and that everything you want to be known about the business, you're getting out there. Is anybody uncomfortable with doing a Q&A round because you feel like, I don't know, people didn't come to the show to be a consultant?
No.
Lynn?
I feel good about it. I think people ask questions all the time. They're always curious. They say, you're having so much fun. And I do get that a lot. I'm so excited. They said, I love having the parties with you. So
Yeah. But Lynn, thank you for your honesty. I was concerned about that in the beginning. I'm like, you know what? They came for a Pampered Chef party. They didn't come for a job. Why am I doing this Q&A round? Well, guess what? They don't always know that this can be a business for them or someone they know. And the Q&A round most of the time is maybe 4 minutes. Okay? Think about it. Some people come to a party and they don't need knives. They've got a set of knives at home. Do you think they're appalled because you talk about your knives for 3 or 4 minutes? No. They know they're at a Pampered Chef party and cutlery is going to be discussed, right? Some people hate stoneware because you can't use soap on it. And we could stand on our head and spit nickels. Nothing's going to change their mind. They're just never.
But I can help you. We have somewhere you can watch.
Yeah, that's right. Rock. But I mean, as far as our classic stoneware, there's some people who are never, ever, ever, ever going to buy a piece of it because you can't use soap. But do you think they're going to be appalled because you spend 2 to 3 minutes talking about our classic stoneware? No. They know it's a Pampered Chef party and you're going to be talking about stoneware. As long as you don't beat them on the head and spend 25 minutes on stoneware or 25 minutes on cutlery, okay, then people might get annoyed. But if you're going to spend a few minutes on everything that Pampered Chef has to offer, that's fine. Same thing with the Q&A round. Nobody's going to be appalled. In fact, I find that even if people aren't thinking about it for themselves, I feel the same way as Sherry, is that people are just curious and they ask stuff because they're like, oh, wow. And if they're not, they'll just read their catalog and tune us out, which is fine too. It's no big deal, but it's just for a few minutes.
I think it's because I'm probably talking too much and not giving them an opportunity to talk. That's what is coming to me as I'm listening to you ladies. I'm thinking maybe I'm too forthcoming and not giving them the opportunity to ask the question. So I'm going to change and I'm going to do more on having them ask me. I like the questions in the batter bowl. I'm going to try that on my show on Tuesday and see how it goes.
Perfect. Yeah. There's all kinds of ways you can do it. So don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. If you're trying one way and you're just not finding your groove, yeah, try it slightly differently. And you can also let people know at the beginning. You can say, and by the way, you guys are going to earn all kinds of points, and you can scoop up lots of points in the end if you ask me questions about the business. So as we're going along cooking, if you think of questions, just store them in the back of your mind and you'll scoop up all kinds of points at the end. So you can plant seeds like that. I usually forget to, but I find that some people really get a good response when they let people know ahead of time, because then when that Q&A round starts, they're right on it and people have questions at the ready. Okay. So then at the wrap up, you want to make sure, okay, it's not just like, okay, after points, here's a prize. It's like, wow, you guys asked some great questions. We're going to be adding up points shortly, but I do want to let you guys know that, you know, when you come up to finalize your order or whatever, if you'd like to take additional information home, I'd love to have you do that. Or you could say to them, if you'd like to order one of those kits tonight, you can write it right on your order form. Or some people offer 10% off the kit if they order it that night. Forget what her name is, but she's one of the top recruiters in the company, and that's what she does. She said, you know, just like she books her parties at the parties, she gets people to sign all the time at the parties. She's like, you know, they don't have to go home and ask their husband if they can buy a rock. If they want a rock, they just buy it. The kids, it's not that much more of a commitment. If they're going to book a party anyway, who cares whether it's a regular party or a kickoff? You know, so she just makes it like, yeah, no big deal. So you're signing up to do a kickoff party and like a couple of shows, you know, no big deal. So she does offer 10% off a kit. You would have to cover that cost. You don't have to. You could maybe say X dollars off your kit, or you don't have to say anything at all. But if you want to give that a try, you can, because you're your own CEO. Yeah. All right. So, the next time we meet, we're going to be talking about hesitations that people have at the Q&A round. But your assignment for this week is, I want you to think about some nonverbal things you can do to generate more interest in the business. Like if you're carrying too many bags, carrying fewer bags. If you're not starting on time, start on time. Getting, you know, more people involved to make your job look easier, whatever. Think of a couple nonverbal things that you can do to generate more interest. And then I want you to think of three things that you can say during the show that will plant some seeds.
Karen,
Yes.
am I the only, this is something I do, I put business information in every host packet.
Perfect. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Every host packet gets information for sure. Yes. Okay. Because everybody can turn their show into a kickoff party.
Yeah.
But I do have a director call. It starts in 2 minutes. So pick out a couple of non-verbal ways, and then 3 things that you're going to say or do slightly differently to generate more interest in the business. And then any tweaks that you're going to make to your Q&A round. Maybe it's the way you intro it. Maybe it's the way you wrap it up. Maybe it's putting the questions in the bowl, whatever. And message your director with the changes you're going to make. And when your next party is, so we know we can follow up with you and say, how did that go? How did it feel?
Good.
Sound good?
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, so I got to